rehabilitation is extremely onerous. Whilst on paper the circumstances where police are allowed to use deadly force may seem reasonable, the truth is that decisions have to be made in split seconds and there is no space or latitude for second guessing. Whilst it is easy for the courts to wrestle with the laws laid down in the Constitutional Court case of S versus Walters, when pronouncing on whether a police officer was entitled to use deadly force or not, the officer on the ground does not have the luxury of time to ponder such challenges and must make a judgment call right there and then. Yes, Honourable Chairperson, the right to life is precious and protected by our Constitution, but it cannot be so at the expense of law and order and at the expense of our police officers. We believe that aiming a gun at a police officer is a de facto display of an intention to kill. And we believe that police must be enabled through legislation to respond with the maximum force that the law allows, without the inevitable sword of prosecution and murder investigation by the Independent Police Investigative Directorate hanging over their heads. We agree with suggestions that police must not operate alone but in pairs of groups. And we agree that all our police officers should be equipped with bulletproof vests. Yet, when we look at those police officers who are killed, it is noticeable that most died because of shots to the head and the neck. The criminals are aware that police use bulletproof vests and have adjusted the killing methods accordingly. We also need to look at other issues such as the low morale amongst police officers, poor salaries, difficult working conditions, challenges of promotions to understand the complexity of killing of our police officers. Very often these factors contribute to police members being drawn into a web of corruption and collusion with criminal elements which puts the lives of their colleagues at risk. To conclude, with the National Freedom Party is in favour of legislative amendments to make it easier for police to defend themselves and encourage all South Africans to support our police members and appreciate the thin blue line which serves and protects us daily.
Your time
I
is
thank
up.
you.
Honourable Macheka.
Thank you, Chairperson, honourable members. The onslaught against police officers calls for a number of interventions. Amongst others is a need to insist that anyone becoming a National Police Commissioner must have a certain amount of police operational experience. There are many of those who can be found from within the service. This should be linked with a need to have the National Police Commissioner chosen by a special majority in Parliament in the same way it is done when appointing the Inspector General of Intelligence. Local policing forums should be more representatives of the people with added capacity in order for them to play a more practical role in assisting the work of the police in the safety of all citizens. The killing of police demands that the leaders of the police double their work in improving the overall management of the use of force by police officers. Threatening harsh sanctions against police murderers and encouraging police to using more force in their interaction with criminal suspects is unlikely to improve officers' safety. It will play into systematic police brutality, which will cause civilians to become fearful and less cooperative with the police. Police leadership urgently needs to start focusing on improving the strategic management and internal accountability capacity that will support professional policing. Police members need to be prepared, able to confront dangerous criminals, defend themselves and the citizens who are using lethal force. They need the necessary skills and confidence to handle the complexities they confront in the daily engagement with the public while enforcing the law against all criminals. There is also an urgent need to mobilize communities and improve the public trust in police, decrease police corruption and brutality. South Africa wants a police force that can be trusted because its leaders are beyond reproach and its members are widely recognized as professionals, respectful and accountable to the needs of the communities they serve. The United Democratic Movement says stop police killing now. A police officer is your brother, your sister, your uncle, your mother, and your father, and indeed a human being too. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Swart.
Chairperson, the ACDP shares the sense of shock and outrage felt about the high number of police officers killed this last year. We would like to express our condolences to all those families and friends who have lost their loved ones and colleagues in the line of duty, including the 2 detectives murdered in Dobsonville yesterday. The brazenness of the attacks on police officers leaves one shocked and, to a certain extent, disturbed. Clearly, far more needs to be done to protect our police officers. We welcome the National Tactical Response Plan that has been developed to immediately respond effectively to murders of police officials, but that is sadly often after the fact. We need to see attacks on the police as attacks not only on the state, but indirectly as attacks on us as citizens. Yesterday's shootout in Dobsonville, Soweto, in which 2 detectives were killed, adds to this long list. What makes yesterday's attack more alarming is that these 2 detectives were specifically targeted and almost hunted down, then callously shot with their police dockets and service pistols then being stolen in a very clearly and callously calculated operation. It is apparent that criminals are becoming more brazen in these attacks, and we cannot have a situation where our protection officers are unable to protect themselves, let alone the public at large. Police officers, including detectives, must wear their bulletproof vests at all times and to take steps to ensure their physical safety. We must also ensure that police officials are properly equipped and trained to withstand these vicious onslaughts. Effective counselling services must also be available to help these police officers dealing with traumatic and depression-inducing crime scenes, as well as seeing their colleagues wounded or targeted in the line of duty. Lastly, the ACDP would like to suggest that communities adopt local police stations to support those police officers with prayers for protection and to meet their other needs, or merely just to express thanks for good service delivered that they provide in the communities. Let us stand with the Blue Line. Let us encourage them, for they are the front line when it comes to fighting crime. Let us remember them in our thoughts, prayers, and action. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Godi.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, comrades, and honourable members. The APC joins the House in supporting the statement of the Minister and the sentiments expressed in the House thus far in condemning the killing of police officers. We stress here that the killing of the police is unacceptable. We all must raise our voices against the killing of police officers. The APC agrees with the Minister that the right to life must not just be a constitutional provision, but must be central in the popular psychology of the people in this country. For so long as the right to life, respect for life, is merely a legal matter, the declassed elements in our society will respect nobody's life, including that of police officers. The killing of police officers is particularly worrisome, for they are the ones responsible for maintaining law and order. If this is not urgently arrested, it will negatively affect the capacity of the state to safeguard life and property of all citizens. Police officers, the ministry, and the department must feel that as Parliament we care about their well-being, condemn police killings, and support all their efforts to identify and eliminate all risks to the lives of our officers. Our communities need to be mobilized in support of the police, strengthen community policing forums, and, Comrade Minister, take good care of our reservists. This will create the necessary environment for safer communities. We pledge our solidarity with the families of the deceased officers. Thank you.
Honourable Make.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, ministers, and my colleagues. Madam Chairperson, every society and community needs to be protected. And it is the duty of every government to do so. Governments are there to see to the safety and comfort of its citizens, and the instruments that it uses is the defense and police forces. In a situation where the defenders of our people are being targeted by criminals, not only the government but every one of us need to stand up and put a stop to this abomination. The President has called for a more active citizenry to enhance the quest to fight all types of crime that endanger and undermine human rights. He went further to say that in the South African context, active citizenry was yet to be fully exercised to advance the cause of drastic curbing crime. If we are to make even more meaningful inroads in the fight against crime as a people, we need to fully activate our sense of community and each play our role in supporting the law enforcement officers of South Africa, of the Southern African region, and even further afield. In any country, the heinous murder of law enforcement officers can never be supported, condoned, or overlooked, the President emphasized. In our own documents as the African National Congress, we are saying that there seems to be a growing tendency towards attacks directed at law enforcement officers. This is a phenomenon that would require the attention of security cluster with a view to ensuring that the law enforcement officers gain necessary respect from the population of South Africa whilst respectfully providing services to them. Madam Chairperson, if we have a situation in this country where Tsotsis will raid a police station in order to capture weapons, where Tsotsis will hold police up and take their weapons in daylight, it is clear that our strategies and tactics in dealing with this type of criminality must have a total overhaul. The Minister has come up with a blueprint to totally change the landscape in the sphere of policing. Our people need to be safe and feel free. In my previous speech on the budget vote, Madam Chairperson, I specifically dealt with this issue when I said that as a society we need to protect our protectors. I said that the killing of our police officers need to be treated differently. The punishment must be different. The prison must be different. The food in the prison must be different. No privileges must be allowed to these animals. We need to have special courts for this type of crime. Special prosecutors must be selected to deal specifically with cases of police murders. The Portfolio Committee on 2 occasions called the leadership of the police in order to engage with them on the issue, and we have noted the genuine efforts they are doing in order to end these acts of barbarity. SABC is introducing new technology in trying to curb this scourge. Analog radio does provide talk group operations where all members are alerted simultaneously of emergencies. SABC is migrating to modern digital radio communications with advanced police specifications. Digital radio-based panic alarm facility is being deployed, which includes GPS location delivery to the control room. However, the police must also do their part in being disciplined in their work, wearing their armored gear, stopping corrupt activities, etc. The security of the country is not something to argue and grandstand about. It talks about the lives of people, those that maintain the security, those that goes out whether dark or raining or both, those that go out whether it's winter or summer, whether windy or snowing. We must therefore be in agreement when it comes to the security of the country. No grandstanding with the safety, security, and protection of our citizens. We need a changing of mindset and become patriotic for the sake of the fatherland, or motherland or fatherland. People who have families and assets like any of us. But surely those that police are people who have families and assets like any of us. But surely those that we forget about when we move around in safety and comfort. The safety and comfort created for us by these, our own boys and girls, men and women in blue, who always put their lives on the line for us, protecting our assets with them having none, secure our safety, security, and comfort with them having none of this, but never complaining. And we always take them just as some instruments or objects for our own protection. Theirs is just to do and die. Theirs is not to us the reason why. For our own good, all of us, even the opposition, whether in blue t-shirts or red overalls, they are always there, ready to serve.
Order, honourable member. Can you take your seat, honourable member?
Can a member take a complimentary question?
Honourable Make, can you take a complimentary question as asked?
Not from anybody in a red overall.
Well, honourable member, he is not taking your question.
On a point of order, Chair.
Order, honourable.
Does the opposition
Order,
not run to them when they...
Can you take your seat, honourable member?
Chair, I'd just like to check with you, is it parliamentary for that member to have 12 minutes for a speech like that and he's saying nothing?
Thank you, honourable member. That was not a point of order. Proceed, honourable Mike.
Does the opposition not run to them when they are in trouble? We therefore, as South Africans, must give permission to these, our men and women in blue, permission to exercise maximum force in relation to the Nugwaniji on behalf of the South African citizenry. Madam Chairperson, I wouldn't like to answer to some of the things that were said by the opposition because we are actually talking about death here. But I would like to agree with the IFP on the establishment of special courts. And I will definitely agree with the NFP that the police must use maximum force when it comes to this type of criminality. I thank you.
Thank you, honourable member. That concludes party responses to the statement. The next order is the member statements. Does any member of the ANC wish to make a statement? Yes, honourable member.
The ANC congratulates the 26-member Black Mamba Anti-Poaching Unit for being awarded the United Nations top accolade, the Champions of the Earth Award. This was announced on Monday, the 7th September 2015, and the award will be handed to the unit by the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, in New York on the 27th September 2015. The Black Mambas are a shining example of the promise of government, the private sector, and communities to eradicating rhino poaching in South Africa. ANC and all South Africans salute these young women who all come from communities close to the Balule Game Reserve and the Kruger National Park, who have shown dedication and commitment to the conservation of our natural world. The unit not only focuses on conducting anti-poaching operations, but also educates communities in the area on the benefits of conservation and rhino protection. Much has been said of involving communities in conservation. ANC commends the Department of Environmental Affairs under Minister Edna Molewa on introducing the Environmental Monitors Program initiative. the department is working with various stakeholders, including other government departments and sun parks, to create economically viable models to make communities less
Honourable
vulnerable.
Member, your time is up.
I thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
The Democratic Alliance.
Ngiyabonga, Sihlalo. The Democratic Alliance congratulates the Western Cape government for the successful outcomes achieved by its pioneering youth empowerment intervention called the Chrysalis Academy. Established in 2000 under a DA provincial government, the Academy is a highly effective social crime prevention and youth development program targeting youth at risk between the ages of 17 and 25. Created in response to the prevalence of substance abuse and an active gang culture in many communities in Cape Town, it empowers its beneficiaries to steer away from crime, drugs, and gangsterism to become socially responsible adults and strong, positive community leaders. The Academy has been recognized on a national level as one of the first recipients of the Gold Ministerial Award offered by the Ministry of Social Development for its excellence in youth development. In 2014-15, the Academy saw 600 students achieve an impressive 96% pass rate and 88% job placement rates. Through its success, the Chrysalis Academy shows the DA-led Western Cape government's commitment to be an innovative leader in addressing the contributing factors of crime as well as a trailblazer in youth development.
EFF.
Thank you, Chair. The Commander-in-Chief of Economic Freedom Fighters, President-in-Waiting, Julius Lomalema, instructed EFF MPs to be real servants of the people, to be part of the communities, appreciate the struggles of the people around them, and where possible provide solutions for the people or work with them to find solutions on issues that communities are dealing with. Heading this call as MP of EFF, I have been working tirelessly with Malikudu High School. I did my secondary education, a school I have adopted in Limpopo, and together with the school leadership, we have embarked on a number of projects that will see the school becoming one of the best schools in the region. Together with the school management, we have forwarded an application for the construction of multi-purpose sports court facility at Malikudu High School premises. And from the update of the officials, the application is going through the processes, and we hope and pray for positive results. We also blocks painted inside and outside. If the above mentioned application can
the reorganization of the new democratic state since 19. Mandela was famously known as member and in his hometown of Middelburg, and also well known as chair within the alliance movement. And he passed in 2008, and may his soul continue to rest in peace. As the ANC, we are also grateful that there is a road named after him in Tshwane. And and the ANC provincial office in Mpumalanga is correctly named Chair Masilela House. I thank you.
The IFP.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The Inkatha Freedom Party wishes to place on record its grave concern with the recent Statistics of South Africa report, which revealed that more than 99,000 teenagers fell pregnant in 2013. The data forms part of its general household research, which showed that teenage pregnancy has been on the increase over the past 3 years. The general household research, which showed that teenage pregnancy education Gauteng, EC Panyazali Sufi labeled the latest figure a crisis and unheard of in the history of the country. The IFP believes that Minister of Education and her department must ensure pupils are taught the inherent responsibilities of having a baby whilst at school as part of their school curriculum to curb teenage pregnancy. However, other underlying factors must also be urgently addressed, such as teachers who impregnate their pupils, gender-based violence, and the fact that government seems to be endorsing risky behavior at school by supplying our children with condoms at schools. Furthermore, the IFP...
Honourable Member, your time is up.
Thank you.
FF Plus.
Thank you, Chairperson. Geleide wat die ANC-regering oor pensioenfondse maak, raak al hoe meer onheilspellend, veral gesien teen die agtergrond van die verwoestingswerk van Transnet se 2 fondse. Die ANC se voorsitter in Gauteng, Paul Mashatile, het onlangs die gevaardigde hieroor laat flikker toe hy gesê het die ANC sal met sy volgende algemene raadsvergadering in Oktober vanjaar na maniere kyk om werkers meer te bemagtig deur aan te dui hoe en waar hul pensioengeld belê moet word. Volgens Mashatile is dit 'n poging om Suid-Afrika se ekonomie te transformeer. Dit is ongelukkige feit dat die ANC Suid-Afrika die afgelope 21 jaar tot op die rand van ekonomiese uiteenstorting getransformeer het. Ons ekonomie huiwer tans op die rand van rommelstatus. Wat nou gebeur, het die Vryheidsfront Plus lank reeds voorspel. Die ANC se geld raak op en nou word pensioene geteiken. Dit raak al hoe meer duidelik, die ANC is niks anders as 'n marxistiese organisasie wat deur slypwetgewing regkry wat Mugabe openlik gedoen het. Bietjie vir bietjie word eiendomsreg vernietig en vind herverspreiding plaas terwyl die regering eintlik die omgewing behoort te skep vir die ekonomie om te groei en ontwikkel. Die Vryheidsfront Plus sal enige inmenging in Suid-Afrika se pensioenfondse met mening teenstaan en self sorg dat daar gelitigeer word indien nodig. Ons sê vir die ANC, los ons pensioenfondse uit. Thank you.
The ANC.
Thank you, Chair. ANC commends Pastor Sikwane of Holiness Union Church at Buka Trust in Mpumalanga Province for playing a huge role in the establishment of Tlaisane Center of Hope in Sifunindlela Trust in Ward 35 of Mbombela Local Municipality. The opening of the center was attended by the Deputy Minister of Social Development, Ukhubane Zulu, on the invitation of the church, and she participated in social development projects in the area. This is an area plagued by a high prevalence of sexual and gender-based violence. Pastor Sikwane has provided a safe house aptly named White Door House of Hope, which will serve as a service delivery center for victims of sex abuse and gender-based violence. The MTN Foundation renovated the house, while many other stakeholders have also committed and contributed in various ways. The center will also provide nutritious meals on a daily basis for more than 500 poor young and old people who are not beneficiaries of any social grant. The house also houses women's cooperative, which solely focuses on sewing. This women cooperative will supply school uniforms to the surrounding schools through SASA. Simugela nemgwaqo long 6 km lojikela esabelweni, Ipos Fontaine, Gambambiso, Ward 23, ngaphansi kwemkhandlu wasekhaya inkomazi local municipality.
Ngixolise ukuthi isikhathi
ANC
sesiphelele
siyaqhuba.
nakithi.
I thank you.
APC.
Thank you, Chair. As I was saying on Tuesday before I was cut, the community of Huntington is left wondering why the Mpumalanga Provincial Department of Basic Education is reluctant to register the school, Kurula Secondary School, when government will not pay a cent for its construction. Speculation comes in. There are about 6 or 7 buses paid by the government that ferry students to Mabarule High School in Lilydale. I was told that most of them lie idly, as not all are used. But I suspect government pays for all of them. I don't know who has the contract. The community is having a meeting today at 4 o'clock where the regional program director of the Africa Foundation is going to inform them that unless there is successful intervention, the donors are likely to negatively review their financial commitments by the end of next week. As the APC, we appeal to the Minister of Basic Education to urgently assist the process. That community, those students, must not miss out. It is such a crying shame. The people of Huntington deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I didn't know that there was a TPC on statements to be continued. ANC.
National Health Insurance. Mfumo wa ANC wu themendhela ndzawulo ya rihanyo ya le Gauteng ku va yi tekile magoza ya ku tumbuluxa National Health Insurance a Chawelo a Soweto tanihi projeke ya ku humelerisa xivono xa NHI etikweni hinkwaro. Titliniki leyi ya NHI yi pfuna vaaki va le Sinawane, Phiri, Mapetla, Protea na Chawelo, naswona leswi i vumbhoni bya leswaku ku nga ri khale NHI yi ta humelela eka projeke leyi vavabyi va tshunguriwaka hi Dr. Musa na vaongori va endzela vavabyi emakaya va tlhela va pfuna ku va nyika mirhi kona emakaya. Vavabyi lava va nga na xiyimo xo karhata va rhumeriwa exibedhlele va tlhela va kombeleriwa ambulance ku ri yi va yisa. Vavabyi va endzeriwa vhiki na vhiki hi community health workers. Loko va vabya ngopfu va ongoriwa va va tshunguriwa kona emakaya. Ku yisa vavabyi eka tindzawulo tin'wana to fana na social development swi endliwa hi ku olova. Hi khensa Dr. Musa vatirhi.
Wena wekunene sesiphelile isikhathi ngwane. Siyabonga. Democratic Alliance.
Madam Chair, I was not the only one who was bored and annoyed by Minister Lindiwe Zulu last week when she contended that the DA did not know Africa and thus was not qualified to talk about the ANC's new best friend forever, Omar al-Bashir. The ANC criticizes the ICC for indicting Bashir for 300,000 dead in Darfur. He has not been indicted for the Sudanese civil war, where for 16 years he was in charge of the northern armies against the south. He should be indicted. In Rumbek and Adok and Bentiu and Lear, South Sudanese people told me about that war and how Bashir used the taking of slaves as a deliberate tactic. He armed and encouraged militias to take South Sudanese as slaves, and tens of thousands of Africans were taken into slavery. In this century, many remain so. They were beaten and starved and forced to abandon their Christian or traditional religions. The North Sudanese Arabic word for black person, abid, is the same word that they use for slave. This is the man who the ANC invited to our country, let leave in defiance of our own courts, and with whom it now signs cooperation agreements. A man who takes black Africans as slaves. In the same way that it defends the interests of comrades and cronies and not the people of South Africa, the ANC is in love with the African Leaders Club, not with Africans. You make me ashamed of my
Honourable
country.
member, your time is up. The ANC.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. The ANC has learned with shock and disappointment the vandalism and destruction of the struggle icon J.B. Marks Memorial Monument recently. We are angered and deeply offended by this senseless desecration of the memorial, which was erected in honor of J.B. Marks outside his hometown of Ventersdorp. We condemn this abominable act of thuggery and cowardice and call on the law enforcement agencies to investigate this incident and put the perpetrators behind bars. Uncle J.B., as he was affectionately known, was born in March 1903 in Ventersdorp, in the then Transvaal, and he died of heart attack in 1972 while in exile in the Soviet Union. His remains were brought back and reburied to South Africa in March 2015 together with those of another struggle, stalwart Comrade Moses Kotane. This self-destructive attitude of these perpetrators neither contributes to the nation building nor inspires pride. They must know that it would take more than a cowardly act to erase the legacy of Comrade J.B. Marks from the history of South Africa. He worked with immeasurable commitment and dedication to ensure that South Africa belonged to all who live in it. No amount of disrespect will erase from our collective memory the gallant role played by this leader and what he represents. Comrade Marks raised the level of political consciousness to many of us and collapsed the nationality and tribal divisions to the system that the system had imposed to prevent collective action.
Honourable member, your time
Thank you very
is
much,
up.
Honourable House.
AIC. AIC. ANC.
Thanks, Chairperson. The ANC applauds the progressive initiative by the Department of Basic Education, in which 81 independent monitors were appointed and are to be deployed to all education districts in our country to monitor the writing of the examination with the assistance of the provincial education departments and our quality assurer, Umalusi. The department has further taken an initiative to train invigilators who will supervise the writing of these examinations to ensure the good quality of our National Senior Certificate Examination. This shows the seriousness with which our government takes the education of our children. Ngiyabonga sihlalo.
GA.
68 frail, bedridden and elderly people at the Loskop Old Age Home in Ephraim Makhali will be put on the street along with 54 members of staff who care with them on Monday the 17th of September. This comes as a result of the Limpopo Social Development Department refusing to pay the subsidies to the home because their application for 2015 was 1 day late. Despite pleas to the Social Development MEC and Minister Dlamini herself for intervention, no response whatsoever has been received. Requests to the Portfolio Committee Chair to bring the heads of department and MEC to account to the committee are yet to get a response. The Human Rights Commission have also been unable to get the required intervention. Many residents of the home are bedridden, suffering from Alzheimer's, and are on permanent oxygen machines and required constant daily care. The department is now in breach of the Older Persons Act and will face charges in this regard. This is yet another example of the ANC-led government's total neglect and disregard of the poor and vulnerable in South Africa. We call on Minister Dlamini to intervene today and ensure that payments are made to Loskop to avoid the devastating consequences, potential loss of life and jobs because of Limpopo's mismanagement. I thank you.
The ANC.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Chair. The ANC applauds a joint operation by the Hawks, the South African Police, and the Home Affairs Counter-Corruption Unit, which resulted in the arrest of a frontline clerk in the Home Affairs Office at King Williamstown in the Eastern Cape. The official was arrested for facilitating fraudulent marriages involving illegal foreign nationals. During the arrest, several more foreign nationals were also arrested after they were found in possession of fake IDs, fake marriage certificates, temporary IDs, and blank home affairs documents when their houses were searched. As the ANC, we congratulate the Department of Home Affairs for this crackdown on corruption within the department, and this is further confirmation that Minister Malusi Gigaba was correct in launching Operation Brisa Marina last month, which aims to stop the rot within the department. We hope that the arrest in King Williamstown will serve as a deterrent and a warning to those who are involved in this corruption, which does nothing but undermine our government's efforts to deliver quality services to citizens. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. There being one slot left, the ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Housing project completed in Cedarville, Matatiele. Housing is at the forefront of the national agenda for delivery, and the ANC-led government is taking overall responsibility for providing houses to all. Cedarville community in Matatiele is highly pleased of having a housing project completed within a year, where 201 households have occupied their houses from a project started in July 2014 and completed in July 2015. About 60 jobs, opportunities, and skills were created and impacted respectively. The credit goes to the Ministry for adhering to the Freedom Charter as it relates. There shall be houses for all. This has revived hope to those whose houses are still to be provided. South Africa has made great strides in providing houses, and ANC is pleased with the progress made in providing the people of South Africa with a roof over their heads. I thank you.
Honourable members, that concludes member statements. Let's get ministerial responses. Honourable Deputy Minister, Honourable Minister, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson, Deputy Speaker. I just want to say that the member of the ANC that was speaking about the houses in Matatiele proves beyond doubt that when we say at the African National Congress, through our Freedom Charter, that there shall be houses, security, and comfort, we mean business. And to deliver those housing on record, starting in July, by now 200 houses have been delivered. It definitely shows that the housing delivery is on track. And we want to call upon...
On a point of order, Deputy Speaker.
Yes, what's your point of order, Honourable
The
Member?
member cannot stand here and mislead us. This honourable member is grandstanding. There can never be a total delivery of houses in South Africa at this stage by the African National Congress. She's not telling the truth. This member is not telling the truth, and she stands here in front of you. You are not calling her to order. She's misleading us.
Honourable Makause, that's a political statement, ma'am. It's not a point of order.
Continue,
Please
Deputy Speaker.
don't do that again. Go ahead, Honourable Member.
It shows beyond doubt that our program of delivery of housing to our people is on track. By the fact that when we deliver houses, we also do job creation. It is positive, because we are saying as we build houses, we must build communities. And the member must listen carefully. I didn't say that we have done with the housing backlog. I'm saying the portion that we are doing is positive because it makes difference. I thank you.
Honourable Gigaba.
Order, Deputy Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member.
I never wanted to disrupt the Deputy Minister. I just wanted to check, is it honourable for her to wear a jumping castle?
Honourable members, your time is coming to go home very soon. Don't be in a hurry. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The launch of Operation Visa Masina by the Department of Home Affairs has already begun yielding very positive results. Since we launched it in July this year, 26 officials, including members of the public involved in document fraud and corruption, have been arrested, including most recently in Soshanguve, Umgeni, as well as in Tembisa. We want to make it clear that the eagles of the Department of Home Affairs, our counter-corruption unit, are doing us proud by the focused manner in which they are attacking and combating document fraud and corruption. We wish to congratulate them, to plead with them to continue working so hard and ensure that we can ensure that the Department of Home Affairs is freed from corruption and document fraud. I would like, Honorable Deputy Speaker, to comment on the statement about President al-Bashir, who was invited by the African Union to South Africa and not the South African government. Despite the fact that we have made this point very clear on several occasions, certain members are hell-bent on spreading disinformation and untruths about the presence of President al-Bashir to our country. President al-Bashir remains central to the resolution of the problems of Sudan and ensuring that there is sustainable peace in that country. Many in the opposition benches, particularly the DA, deserve to be at The Hague for the crimes they committed against Africans in South Africa during the apartheid period. Many of them never even appeared before.
Point of order.
Yes, Honourable Member. What's the point of order?
The Honourable Member has accused members on this side of the House of committing crimes that would warrant us going before The Hague. I would say that he cannot do that unless he brings a substantive motion before the House, and I would ask that he withdraws that statement forthwith.
I will rule on that. Your time has expired. Honourable Member.
Thank you.
Honourable Nkwinti, just now. Honourable members.
Deputy Speaker.
Can you give me a moment? Can you give me a moment? I will rule on that matter. Yes. Honourable Nkwinti.
Sekela Sendeto enkosi. Ndifuna uthetha kulo mcimbi ka Mongameli uBashir. Ngo-1982 kukho ixhego lakwaDanis.
Deputy Speaker, on a point of order.
Ixhego le-African National Congress.
Deputy Speaker, on a point of order. I'll tell you if you just listen. Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Minister of Home Affairs has dealt with the member statement in al-Bashir, and now we have a second minister addressing the same statement, which is not allowed. And it's not in his portfolio either. So it's been dealt with, and the minister must address another member statement. Thank you.
Yes. The rules allow ministers to respond to any matter, man.
Enkosi Sekela Sondeto. Ke kwakunzima mos ngo-1982 elaa xesha silwela inkululeko yelizwe. Lithe lixhego uyabona ke Bonyana funeka ningafani nehagu. Ngumzabalazo mos uthetha ngawo. Uthetha nge-ANC elalungu. Ndilungu le-ANC mna. Uthi lo tata ningafani nehagu. Ihagu xa ihamba ijonga phansi apha phambi kwayo ayijongi phaa. Nina ke ze ningazinzi ihagu. So thina asifani nehagu kwa-African National Congress. Sijonga phaa asijonge apha. Enkosi.
Any further ministerial responses? Can you give it again? Yes. Well, Deputy Minister, only if you are responding to a different matter.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes,
the Honourable Minister has had Deputy Minister, sorry, has had an opportunity to respond.
In the House thus far in condemning the killing of police officers. We stress here that the killing of the police is unacceptable. We all must raise our voices against the killing of police officers. The APC agrees with the Minister that the right to life must not just be a constitutional provision, but must be central in the popular psychology of the people in this country.
A new human species, the hominid, has been revealed at the cradle of humankind. Now, this is said to be the largest human fossil ensemble to be discovered on the Africa.
The statement made by the ANC on Commissar Chair Masilela. I want to say that Comrade Chair was a cadre of a special type, a commissar in the army who also trained me. But more than that, the Secretary of Defense until his untimely death. I want to congratulate the Steve Chwete municipality, the Veterans League there, as military veterans, and SACP, and say long live the spirit of Chair, long live. But more than that, I want to say that in his memory, at the Department of Human Settlements, we are building 5,000 houses for military veterans because we want to make sure that their works continue.
May I address you?
Thank you. Yes, Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker, I rise on Rule 105.7, well, 6.7, where it stated that the time for ministerial responses, in fact 6, sorry, is limited to 2 minutes. The time the Deputy Minister had previously for the member statement that she responded to, and the time currently is well over 2 minutes, and I suggest that you invoke Rule 105.6, please. Thank you.
Okay. Finish your statement, Honourable Member. You done?
We will continue pick up his fallen spear. May his soul rest in peace. Phansi nge-DA phansi.
Phansi nge-ANC phansi.
Honourable Members, there are 6 ministerial response opportunities. The rules do not say no minister can respond twice. There is no limitation to which opportunities ministers can do. The restriction we are placing on ministers, they can't respond to the same matter themselves on 2 occasions, because it would create the problems the Honourable Waters is raising there. We have allowed it because it's a response to different opportunities. We have often stated that, Honourable Members, that if there are additional opportunities for ministers to respond, ministers or deputy ministers, we allow them to do that. Because after all, when members make statements, they do expect those statements to be responded to. And this is why ministers do that. Thank you very much, Honourable Members. That concludes the ministerial responses. Honourable Members, we now move to notices of motion. In line with the motion as moved by the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, we now come to notices of motion. Does any member wish to give a notice of motion? Yes, Honourable Member at the back.
Deputy Speaker,
yes.
I asked you to make a ruling earlier. It's very clear that the Honourable Gagaba is about to gap it, which means that you're not going to be able to make a ruling in his absence. I would ask that you apply your mind to make a ruling. When members of the opposition say things that require a substantive motion, you make us do it immediately. When he does it, he's allowed to simply get away with it. And he's about to gap it back out of here, probably back to the cabinet meeting where the rest of his colleagues are,
and I'm not going to be able to have an opportunity for you to make a considered ruling on the matter.
Honorable members, it is wrong what you're suggesting. I do wish you to appreciate these comments that members make in the House. We want to be as close to accuracy of their responses as we can so that we give satisfactory rulings. For example, the Honorable Gigaba referred to members. Okay? Referred to members. No, which member was that? Yeah, DA members, yes. What I'm saying is that I want to look at the Hansard correctly so that we have asked members here to come back to me with an advice. I work with advice on the table. I have requested to do them. That ruling will be made on the basis of that advice that I will get.
Deputy Speaker, with respect, the Honourable Mshlongo was at the podium earlier in a debate, and he was forced, because he didn't have a substantive motion when he made allegations, to withdraw it. The Honourable Gagaba said that members of the DA on this side of the House should be before the Hague for crimes against humanity. Now, this is a very serious allegation.
Yes,
and
this is why it is important that I give a ruling to it.
He's a matter. The problem is, the problem is,
let me explain to you.
You give an immediate ruling when it's members of the opposition. It's always a long, drawn-out process when it's members of the ANC.
Honourable member, let me give you this. There are people who are working on that and will bring a ruling here. I'll give it as soon as it comes here so that it is given properly and so on after having it been considered.
Deputy Minister.
Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker.
He's about to pull an al-Bashir and leave the chamber. How are we going to then have a ruling when he's already
Mhlonishwa lapho ngaphambili akawenza njengomuntu obizwa ngoreferee odlalisa ibhola okufanele ukuthi mayidlalisa ibhola enze sure ukuthi akathathi isayidi ukuze abantu begcine bengalimali. Wena unenkinga and ngempela lenkinga yakho ngeke siyibekezelele. Zama ukushintsha simisela ngokuhlonipha la kodwa lento yenzayo ayizukulunga. Ngiyabonga.
Ngiyabona lungu elihloniphekileyo ureferee uyomona egijimela emqeni ukuyobuza ulinesman. Ngisabuza kulinesman ngizophinda kuwena ma.
Deputy Speaker. Point of order, Deputy Speaker.
Yebo.
You know the manner in which you are handling this house is so one-sided and disruptive. That's why every time you are there, the house is getting disrupted. You are very biased.
Honourable members.
Honourable Chairperson, Deputy Speaker, on a point of order.
Yes, Honourable Member.
The chief of the DA has just called the Minister of Home Affairs, al-Bashir. I don't think that it is parliamentary. We cannot allow that thing to happen. It's because we can do the same.
We'll come back. Honourable members. Honourable member, I'd give you an opportunity for a notice of motion. Notices of motion. Yes, Honourable member, come.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the Nkatha Freedom Party, I shall move at the next sitting of this House that the House debate what system is in place to further educate and provide skill to emerging contractors. I so move.
Yes, Honourable member. Go ahead, Honourable member.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the Commission for Gender Equality's report on gender transformation in South African football. I so move.
Yes, Honourable member at the back.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the EFF to move that in its next sitting, the House debates boosting our agriculture to ensure that it realizes its full potential as the next growth sector in the country, able to create jobs and feed the nation. Thank you.
Honourable Van der Merwe.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I hereby give notice that I shall move on behalf of the Inkatha Freedom Party that this House at its next sitting debates the excessive bureaucratic red tape that hinders child adoption processes in our country and what urgent steps should be taken to compel the state to improve and align its processes in this regard. I so move.
Yes, Honourable Member, the back. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Inkatha Freedom Party, I shall move for the next sitting of this House that the House debates the unavailability of sufficient grid access to the IPPs and renewable energy developers and the short and long-term solutions to this challenge.
Honourable Member.
I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates the revitalization, equipping and resourcing of nursing colleges, as well as the increasing of the recruitment of trainees. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Oshi.
Ke a leboga motlotlegi motlatsa Musa Khotla mo boemong jwa mokgatlo wa batho wa African National Congress ke tsitsinya gore mo nakong e tlang ntlo e ya kokwano bo setšhaba e ngangisane ka mekgwa e re ka e tsayang go rotloetsa le go potlakisa kgodiso ya metshameko botaki ngwao le setso sa maAfrika Borwa mo dikolong tsa rona. Ke a leboga motlotlegi.
Thank you. Yes, Honourable.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the continued irregular expenditure within the Department of Basic Education.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates ways to strengthen internal controls that prevent fraud and corruption within the public sector. I hereby move.
Thank you. This Honourable Member, the back.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates the speeding up the process of insourcing essential support services such as catering, cleaning, laundry, and security. I thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Honourable Member.
Ngibonge lapho Deputy Speaker. Ngithi ngokulandelayo ake sikhulume ngesikhungo sezindiza lapha kwaZulu Natal. Lesi sikhungo sasiserinyana iminyaka emide, sasuka erinyana sase-King Shaka. Abantu kuyimanje abanayo indawo yokuhlala neimoto zabo akuvumelekile ukuthi ngaphakathi zipakwe. Besicela baphakanyelwe laba bantu ngoba nabo bangaba la eSouth Africa and no Shaka uqobo ngeke azajabule ukubona abantu bala eSouth Africa bengenayo indlela yokusizakala. Noma buyakhulu akafunda ukubanikeza namathenda futhi laba bantu abanama tourists lapha hayi lokho enika abantu abanenwele ezinde kuphela. Ngiyabonga.
Yes, Honourable Member at the back.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates promoting rural women's access to vital resources such as safe and affordable energy, water and land. I so move.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the EFF that in its next sitting, the House debates mechanism to stop leaders of the ruling party from using food parcels as a means of buying votes from our people in the upcoming local government elections next year, especially in OR Tambo.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates strengthening South Africa's postgraduate training in research and innovation as means to improve the country's global competitiveness. I so move.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Members, are there any motions without notice? Yes, Honourable Member.
Chairperson, the ANC moves without notice that the House welcomes the launch of an annual festival in the memory of the late Public Service Minister Collins Chabane in Limpopo recently. Notes that the main event will be held at the Malamulele Stadium every April and will end with a match between Kaizer Chiefs and Limpopo legend. Acknowledges that the showbiz mogul King Chauke, in partnership with the Chabane family, launches the Collins Chabane Cultural Festival to promote the legacy of the late minister who died in the car accident in March this year. Further acknowledges that the festival will be directed by the Chauke and former Kaizer Chiefs and Bafana Bafana goalkeeper Bran Balui. Understands that it will start off as the talent search to unearth talent, music, and dance, and congratulate the organizers of this annual event in their efforts to keep the legacy of Collins Chabane alive. As we move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion.
Deputy Speaker, the Economic Freedom Fighters objects.
Okay. NFP.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the National Freedom Party, I move without notice that this Honourable House notes that on Tuesday, the 8th of September 2015, the South African police have started Operation Stopper in Nyanga in the Western Cape to bring crime under control in the area. And also notes that Nyanga has the shameful title of being the murder capital of South Africa, with statistics for the year 2012-2013 revealing that 262 murder cases were registered at the Nyanga police station, higher than any other in the country. And further note that hijacking of cars, robberies and drug-related crimes are also prevalent in Nyanga, leaving the residents at the mercy of criminals. And acknowledges that Operation Stopper, which involves police officers, traffic officials, law enforcement and SABC specialized units, has already yielded significant results, with several arrests being made for drug dealing, drunken driving and possession of drugs, whilst 228 kilograms of dacha and 141 liters of alcohol has been confiscated in the first day of the operation. And finally notes that Operation Stopper will continue in the area for an indefinite time until the situation is stabilized. Wherefore we call upon this Honourable House to congratulate the South African Police for the crime eradication operation launched in Nyanga and encourage the Nyanga community to join the police in their fight against crime. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable. If there are no objections, I put the motion. Yes, Honourable
The
Member.
EFF object.
Honourable Member at the back. Yes, Honourable.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the Economic Freedom Fighters to move without notice that the House notes that in Mpumalanga at Umjindi local municipality, pensioners fear eviction from their homes. These developments are prompted by the notice signed by the municipal manager, Mr. Patrick Msibi. Tenants living in 50 Umjindi municipality-owned apartments, of which 90% are pensioners and indigents, may soon find themselves homeless. Further notes that all these developments were made after a notice to sell these flats was handed to them on Wednesday, 12 August 2015. Further note that all indications are that the properties will be sold on public auction in September 21. The notice delivered on Wednesday reads that all tenants will have to enter into new agreements with the new flats management or the potential buyer of the flats after the auction. Further acknowledge that a shelter is a basic human right issue. Prioritizing about making money must not take
President, over human suffering. Further urge the Department of Human Settlements to act speedily to resolve this matter. I so move.
If there are no objection, I put the motion.
The ANC object.
Motion falls away. Yes, honorable member at the back. Go ahead, honorable member.
Ndiyabonga Sekela Somlomo. Ndiphakama egameni le-EFF uba le ndlu yowiso-mthetho iqaphele ukungaphatheki kakuhle kwabantwana abazinkedama abathi bashiywe ngabazali bashiywe eligcineni lezihlobo nezalamane. Iphinde iqaphele uba sithetha nje eBhayi kuward 56 ekamva eMotherwell eButhelezi Street phansi kokhansela uNathi Mamenemene kukho abantwana abathathu abathi bashiywa ngabazali babo baze bashiywa eligcineni lukamakazi wabo uNombulelo Mngqongo Kamana. Ivume ngoku okubana umakazi lo wabo uNombulelo akavumi ukubanika indlu yakowabo. Utshatile uhlala nabantwana bakhe nomyeni wakhe kule ndlu yezinkedama and uzikhuphela ngaphandle ngoku zona zizinkedama ezinje. Uphinde uvume ukuba ikamva laba bantwana ngoku lisemngciphekweni bahamba berenta kodwa benekhaya abakwazi nokuqhubekeka nokufunda. Abantwana ngoku baphila ngegrant karhulumente ekunzima noba imane ihlaziywa kuba bengena address sisigcina abanayo. Kuba baxuthelwa le ndlu sesisikhohlakali sikamakazi.
Order, Chair. Order, Chair.
It's your member on the floor.
It is my member. Kubi kakhulu oqhamuka ngapha uma ngabe member ikhuluma kuthiwe ikhuluma ngenhlupheko yabantu abamnyama kuthiwe ayahamba ayohlala nabo kukhulunywa ngengane kodwa zabantu abamnyama ezihluphekayo. Ngicela ukuthi uyikhuze leyo nto leyo imbi kabi.
Honorable members, please, let's allow members to proceed.
Enkosi Sekela Somlomo. Yenza isimbonono sicela okokubana ke le ndlu yenze isimbonono kumasebe karhulumente nomasipala eBhayi ukuba athathe amanyathelo ukusombulula le ngxaki. Uqinisekise ukuba abantwana bayabuyela elikhayeni labo. Somlomo, Sekela Somlomo wami omhle obekekileyo. La kona le asinandaba nayo. Yenziwa phofu ile bar ilapha eParliamentary. Babahlala bedakiwe ngalo lonke ixesha ezantyozi pha. Nihlala nidakiwe nina aninangqondo.
On a point of order, Chair.
On a point of order, Chair.
There's a member behind you there. There's a member behind you, honorable member.
Chairperson, Deputy Speaker, this member says we are drunk. Angiphuza utshwala mina. Akunabhara la, siphuza utshwala and uthi sidakwe ngicela ukuthi ahoqise Deputy Speaker. It's an insult. Point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair.
Yes, honorable member.
Point of order, Chair. Chairperson.
I'm listening.
Members of this house were elected by people, particularly our poor people. I raised a point that these same people are saying when our member is on the podium addressing a very sensitive matter, she must go and stay with those orphans who are without shelter over their heads.
Deputy Speaker.
What kind of an utterance is that coming from ANC people?
Okay. Yeah.
We are not owing ANC any fucking damn thing, man.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
Deputy Speaker, I challenge you as a presiding officer to bring a breathalyzer now and test who's drunk in this corner and go there and test again or as well. I challenge you now to bring that breathalyzer. We are willing and ready to be tested. We can't be called drunkards as members of parliament because abantu bachayi drugs. It can't happen that way.
Honorable members, All of the members who have raised and spoken the way they have used, including the language they've used, honorable members, we have spoken about this matter in the House. It's beyond me now. I think it requires a different response to it altogether. This is the comments that members do whilst others are speaking, and the comments that comes from those who respond to that is something else altogether. I do wish that we do not go into that direction, because I would like us, I'm going to refer firstly this thing to the Chief Whips Forum themselves, and I would like us to talk to the Speaker about how we respond to all of these issues that have been raised in the manner in which they have been raised. I'm coming back here now, as I promised earlier on other rulings.
Deputy Speaker, before you
Yes.
do that, if I
Yes.
may. I'm sorry, Deputy Speaker, and we
Yes.
can have a discussion about it in the Chief Whips Forum. But there's certain words that are just never uttered in this House. Now, the Honourable Mshlongo has uttered that word. And if you allow it to now go, without asking him to withdraw it, it becomes part of the precedent that that's an acceptable term in the House. Now, I'm happy for you to study the Hansard, etc., but we all heard what that word was. It's not acceptable for Parliament. And I would ask that he is asked to withdraw that word.
Honorable members, Oza Babuntlong, ngiyakubona ufuna ukuza. Uzela wena ngokwakho.
Deputy Speaker,
Yeah.
with all due respect,
Yes.
in law, South African jurisprudence guarantees all of us equality and freedom of speech.
Yes.
We cannot allow arrogance to dominate our own intellectual thinking in this House, as if we are owing anybody anything from the desk of the ANC. Various members have requested you, through your position, to call for a withdrawal of so-called unparliamentary language here. You said yourself, you are going to the hindsight. I will be called to order twice today. None of these people who are behaving recklessly. I spent my time in the trenches fighting for freedom of this country. I don't owe anyone any single thing. EFF here is not owing anyone anything. Now that we are going to be insulted here, and ANC use its cheap, lousy majority, Menshevik style, to dominate us, who they think they are.
Honorable member, I thought you are bringing a solution. You volunteered to come to speak. I thought you are bringing a solution. Honorable Chief Whip.
Deputy Speaker, I just
Yes.
want to point to the precedent that's been created in this House.
No, there's no precedent.
There is a precedent.
No,
there is a precedent. I have a member who was suspended for a week
Honorable
for
member,
using language in the House.
There is no precedent being said. Can you take your seat?
I'm
If you are
saying
not
to-
raising
will you
something
please
new-
listen to me, Deputy Speaker? I said we have precedent in this House. One of my members was found guilty of using that word in the House and was suspended for a week. All I'm asking you to do is be consistent with the rulings of this House and get the member to withdraw it and refer it to the Rules Committee.
Honorable member, please take your seat. I told you what I'm going to do on the spot here very soon. Yes. Honorable member, what are you raising on?
Ngibonge lapho sekela somlobo ngaphambili. Eqinisweni akufanele lento esiyenza ngoba lento ikhombisa ukuthi asiyazi into esizele la. Mina bengizocela nje ke sixoxe kuhlalwe phansi kuvezwe ikhambi ukuthi izolungiswa kanjani ngoba lento imbi izoya iqhubeka and ibulala nekusasa lethu nelekusasa lale South Africa sayilwelayo. Ngiyabonga.
Honorable members, yes, Honorable Deputy Minister and Honorable Hlengwa, you will be the last one on this matter.
Honourable Deputy Speaker,
Okay.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, clearly the rules do not make provision for vulgar and offensive language. It's not part of the freedom of expression, cannot be protected, is not compatible with the decorum of the House, and I urge the Honourable Deputy Speaker to request the Honourable Member to withdraw the offensive word. Thank you.
Honourable Flengwa.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Minister has covered. Now, I respect the fact that you want to refer this entire episode to the Chief Whips Forum. But at the same vein, I want to make a humble plea to yourself and to Honourable Mhlongo for him to restore the dignity of this House and to withdraw that particular phrase which he used. But indeed, refer the entire episode to Chief, but we cannot live here under a cloud of such language. I just appeal to you that let us address that particular instance. Thank you.
Honourable Killian.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I would like to support some of the members on the floor. It was a clear, the Rule 63 on offensive language makes it very clear that no member shall use offensive or unbecoming language. And I would like to suggest that that is exactly what the Honourable Mhlongo has done. We understand that we sometimes get heated under the collar, but nothing can excuse that, and we must have uniformity of application of the rules, and therefore we request you to have the Honourable Mhlongo withdraw that phraseology. That was unbecoming. Thank you.
Yes. Honourable Mhlongo.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. As I withdraw, I expect the same responsible act from those in opposition to us, not unilateral application of this so-called withdrawal of so-called unparliamentary language. I do humbly withdraw as a respectful citizen of this country.
Honourable members, I'm going to come back to the rulings on these matters immediately. Let me put the Honourable Sondi's motion. If there are no objections, I put the motion. Motion falls away. Any further? Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters without notice that the House note the dangerous and undemocratic terrain in which the ANC government, with the support of the Democratic Alliance, the Parliament of South Africa has been turned into a militarizing spaces that embodied the spirit of freedom of speech. Note that every time the Commander-in-Chief and the President of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Julius Malema, is in the precinct of Parliament, there is more police visibility and the Speaker's bouncers who were appointed illegally roaming around if there is a security alert. Note that at any given day when the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF, Julius Malema, is in the House, Mark's building, the Speaker's bouncers will all be in each corner of the 4th floor, something which is unheard or unseen before in Parliament. Further note that the environment has become so hostile. Members of the EFF who were elected democratically to this Parliament do not accept, will never accept intimidation from intellectuality, bankrupt people who cannot argue and resort to violence when faced with facts of their own corruption. Further note that it was the very same Speaker's bouncers, former police who were appointed illegally to assault members of the EFF in Parliament, who physically assaulted a female, a mother, a sister, and a daughter, a member of the EFF in the National Council of Provinces, while the presiding officer laughs and clapped on such disgusting act. warn the ANC, if they think people are not watching, if they think the world is not watching, South Africans will not allow them to turn their parliament into what they have done with the ANC, where they kill each other all the time for political power so that they distribute tenders amongst their cronies. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion.
The ANC objects.
Yes, honourable member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes the astonishing discovery of a new species called Homo naledi, notes that this was announced today in the cradle of humankind near Johannesburg. Further notes that the collection of Homo naledi fossils was found deep inside a chamber of the Rising Star Cave, and that with the remains of 15 individuals of varying age, consisting of more than 1,550 numbered fossil elements found in the cave, scientists are calling this the biggest discovery of its kind on African soil and of great international importance. Further notes that this is the first possible discovery of a species related to us that deliberately disposed of the dead. Congratulates Professor Lee Berger and his team, as well as the University of the Witwatersrand, and also acknowledges the hard work that they have done over many years. And lastly, applaud the decision to make this discovery available to the public through a month-long display at the Marupeng Visit Centre. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objection.
The EFF object, and I do know about it.
Yes,
I went
honourable
to
member.
school.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes, 1, the slow pace in improving the living conditions of Marikana mine workers. 2, the Department of Human Settlements in the Northwest Province having built BNG and community residential units in Marikana Extension 2 and put an income qualifying criteria of between 0 and 3,500, thus excluding mine workers. 3, notes that both the BNG and the CRU units have not been allocated as there is a standoff between the mine workers, community, and the Department of Human Settlements. 4, recalls that the 50 hectares piece of land where the housing units are built was donated by Lonmin following the 2012 killings. 5, further recalls that Marikana has been identified as part of the special presidential package for distressed mining towns. We therefore call, Deputy Speaker, on the Department of Human Settlements and the Presidency to 1, speedily resolve the impasse between the mine workers and community members, and finally, to come up with an allocation criteria that will ensure that the mine workers will benefit from the housing units at Marikana Extension 2. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
If there are no objections, I put the motion.
Yeah. These ones, they don't have knowledge of the working conditions of Marikana. We object.
Yes, honourable. Yes, honourable member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of EFF to move without notice that the House knows the recently completed third edition of the annual Bewanemoteka Sports Development Tournaments, which attracts massive support and participation from Mamune area and surrounding villages in Limpopo. Further knows that the tournament started in 2014 and attracted over 8 teams of under 15s and senior team squads fighting each other. Acknowledges that hosting a tournament of this nature requires a lot of money and sacrifice, and that to date we have allocated 4 sets of soccer kits to different teams, 2 won as tournament top prizes, and 2 were freely given to the teams that didn't have anything to wear during the games. These kits came at a cost of around 20,000. Further acknowledges that we made available trophies in gold, silver, bronze, and bronze medals, categories to the value of 5,000, soccer balls of the value of 7,000, and we allocated 120 pairs of running deggies to all 15 players from each team of all eight participated teams, and paid referees 50 rand each per game. Extends our words of appreciation to Love Life, Advocate Dalim Pofu, the chairperson of EFF in Ekuruleni Mampuru, Fighter Gavelo Mapia, Fighter Mshala Mabrunyan Ace, who helped to donate with balls, soccer kits, teggies, and medals and trophies. Calls on the Department of Sports and Recreation to invest in sports development in the rural areas instead of having a minister goes after Beyonce and Mayweather, forgetting that we can produce our own sports stars if we can invest in the development. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion.
Object.
Yes. Honourable Member.
Chairperson, the ANC moves without notice that the House welcomes the prescribed minimum sentence of life in jail given to Sipiwe Zondani for the call-outs cop killing on Tuesday, 8 September 2015. Notes that Zondani was convicted on the charge of murder related to the death of Detective Constable Mtetheleli Gaina and the wounded of his colleagues Constable Vuyolwetu Mandashe and Sergeant Mruisi Buti on October 17, 2014. Acknowledges the comment by the Western Cape High Court judges Elise Stein that the 31-year-old Zondani conduct on October 17, 2014 was callous and deplorable. Understands that the conviction was secured from the sterling argument by State Prosecutor Advocate Jacqueline Sibia, coupled with an excellent investigation by Lieutenant Colonel Mike Bakenzane, and congratulates all the people involved in this case who contributed to the conviction of Sipiwe Zondani. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion.
The EFF objects.
Okay. Motion falls away. And if, yes, Honourable Final Member.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the Inkatha Freedom Party that this House notes the perpetual absence of cabinet ministers from sittings of this House. Further notes that this severely impedes the work of Parliament and MPs, whose duty it is to hold the executive to account, and calls on cabinet ministers to respect the institution of Parliament and South Africans at large by honouring, respecting and attending to their parliamentary duties regularly and not on an ad hoc basis. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion.
The EFF objects.
Honourable Fundamental Member, you are not supposed to have read that motion because you didn't circulate it. You know, don't break that rule. Anyway, it's gone, it's objected to, so it's irrelevant.
Okay, I was being proactive.
That's not being proactive. You can't proactively break the rules. Honourable members, during the ministerial responses earlier on, the Minister of Home Affairs said that many in the opposition benches, particularly the DA, deserve to be at The Hague for crimes they committed against Africans in South Africa during the apartheid period. This is a clear reference to members of the opposition, specifically in the DA, and to suggest that members, either individually or collectively, were involved in crimes against humanity is clearly unparliamentary. The minister may not be in the House, but he will be asked to withdraw those remarks. And this message that Molato Hauboli, convey it to all the other members in the House who deliberately break the rules, and even if and when we plead with them not to do so, continue to do so. The second one that I would like to refer to is Honorable Sonti, who said members, to translate it, are drunk, but tagiwe. Honorable Sonti, this is unparliamentary, and we would like you to withdraw it, ma'am. Honorable Sonti, all the honorable members, please allow the chair to conduct affairs of the House. Honorable Sonti, will you take your stand and withdraw? Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, can we plead with us, all of us here, that offensive language, from wherever part of the House it comes from, does not improve the quality of our arguments. It does not improve the quality of our status anywhere. It increases the damage we do to the reputation Parliament collectively and as an institution, but as members of Parliament, generally speaking. And so I hope members will recognize the value of not going this route. It's completely unacceptable, and I hope that the chief whips will contribute to a discussion amongst themselves and amongst their members on how effectively we can bring this to an end without going forward anymore. Honorable members, the Secretary will read the first order of the day. Which one? First and second. Oh yes, it's first and second orders together. I'm sorry, I missed it here.
Consideration of 8th report of Committee on Public Accounts on annual report and financial statements of third-party funds and report of Auditor General on 2013-14 financial year. Consideration of 9th report of Committee on Public Accounts on annual report and financial statements of Department of Water Affairs, Water Trading Entity, and report of Auditor General on 2013-14 financial year.
Honorable Godi, the chairperson of the committee, will introduce the reports.
Thank you, Chair, comrades, and honorable members. We once again present the 8th and 9th reports of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. These deal with the annual reports of the third-party fund and the Department of Water Affairs and the Water Trading Entity. We put these reports for the House to adopt. As we present these reports, let me express my appreciation to all my colleagues for their continuous, collective, and united approach to our work. Thanks must also be extended to our staff for their diligence. The third-party fund has always been a problem child of the Department of Justice, Constitutional Development, and Correctional Services. It is not the first time that we have presented a report on the third-party fund. We even did an oversight visit to check exactly what the challenges were. Much effort has been exerted, but the entity is not out of the wood yet, as seen by the disclaimer of audit opinion by the Auditor General. A disclaimer of audit opinion reflects a serious breakdown in internal controls. One of the key issues is the proper keeping of records, reflected in the inability to reconcile receivables and payables, among others. We call on the accounting officer to fast-track the implementation of a new accounting system to replace the current unsuitable Justice Deposit Accounting System, JDAS, to ensure complete, accurate, and reliable financial information and reporting. We are recommending that the Minister should submit a progress report to the House 60 days from today and thereafter give quarterly reports. The Water Affairs Department and its water trading entity have been receiving qualified audit opinions for the last 5 years. On almost all issues of concern, be it commitments, accruals, or immovable tangible capital assets, the main challenge is the absence of records to confirm transactions. There is poor management of expenditure leading to irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Procurement and contract management is also not in a good shape. Human resource management is equally not in a good state, with some employees' qualifications claims not verified on their employment in contravention of relevant regulations. Some employees are paid salaries higher than permitted by regulations. We are calling for an investigation and action to be taken against responsible managers. We once again, as COPA, make a call for all of us to exert all efforts to improve public administration, especially public finance management. The NDP calls for the building of a capable state. All accounting officers, managers, and civil servants must answer to the question of how they are contributing to realizing that objective, especially protecting the public purse. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I now recognize the Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
On behalf of the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, I hereby move that the first and the second reports be adopted.
The question before the House is that the report be adopted. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Okay, the ayes have it.
Deputy Speaker?
Yes.
The DA would like an opportunity to make a declaration, please. Thank you.
The declaration having been asked, Honourable Member, proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the Chairperson of the Committee for those kind words. As a collective in SCOPA, I think we work towards a common goal in ensuring that there's consequences for those transgressing officials in the departments. The deficient financial management practices and corrupt activities within these departments hinder the state's ability to eradicate poverty and, of course, hinders the ability to improve the lives of South African citizens. Sadly, this has become part and parcel of the ANC run departments at national and provincial level. Chairperson, today's consideration of the reports presented to SCOPA are no different than the years before. With regards to the Department of Water Affairs, the current situation is, and I was informed by my colleague in this department, that the Minister now acknowledges that National Treasury has not yet approved the department's request for rollovers to an extent of 1.6 billion and 1.5 billion. Of course, this constitutes 3.1 billion of money earmarked for service delivery infrastructure within that department that has been compromised. Let me repeat the figure of 3.1 billion of service delivery for infrastructure has been compromised and indeed cannot be rolled over. It is within this context that we are concerned that the Department of Water and Sanitation also now has to take over the role of the very dysfunctional Department of Human Settlements in terms of financial management. It is in this regard that a special audit indicated that the Rural Household Infrastructure Program found that the department in 2010 and 2013, in that department, only 501 million of an allocated budget of 2.1 billion has been spent. That gives you an estimate of about 700 billion unspent in terms of toilets for the poorest of the poor in the rural constituencies. Noting this above, we are concerned that the report found that the Department of Water and Sanitation did not have adequate systems in place to maintain records of the regional bulk infrastructure program. This is indeed a disgrace, Chairperson, and there were significant differences in the amounts disclosed in the 2013-14 financial year. We are, however, as I said in the beginning, encouraged by SCOPA's recommendation that Treasury regulations will be enforced, that we will work towards sustainable solutions in terms of the Public Finance Management Act and also the Municipal Finance Management Act. Just 2 days ago, Chairperson, this House debated the scourge of corruption in the public sector. The DA emphasised the way to fix it, and it's not complicated. All that is required is for government to ensure that there's accountability and consequences for those that contravene these legislation, including the Treasury regulation.
Chairperson, just perhaps in conclusion on the water. The year after year, the day has shown that where we govern, we deliver the basic services to all and receive clean audits after clean audits on a yearly basis. Now, with regards to the declaration on the third-party fund administered by the Department of Justice, it is exactly the same as a trust account of an attorney. But and here lies the problem. What is interesting is that any attorney who would handle his or her trust account in the manner in which the Department of Justice have handled their third-party fund over 21 years would be expelled from that profession. Instead, but in the case of the department, the mismanagement of this fund has been allowed to go on. Certainly, the SCOPA, as a committee, we will not tolerate this mismanagement of funds, and there will be consequences for those transgressors.
There will be consequences if you don't obey.
Deputy Speaker, something horrible has happened with the third-party funds. A clear indication how complacent and reckless SCOPA in this Parliament have become at holding accounting officers accountable. It is a clear indication that the chairperson of SCOPA has been sitting on that chair for too long. Just like 2 weeks back, this week, this Parliament was debating corruption, and the chairperson of SCOPA was not here to show that it does not have interest anymore in what it's doing. All it's doing is being a praising of the ANC. For all we know, there are no more funds left. What is clear, however, is that by adopting this report with the mere recommendations that are nothing but a rubber stamp to a dysfunctional governance and maladministration, this is where ANC strive. This is where ANC corruption lives. The Auditor General could not even conduct an audit because the fund has failed dismally to keep any records or put adequate systems in place to maintain the record of the monies received. It has been more than a year before even EFF arrived in this Parliament that now the House is adopting the annual report. Something is not right. Accounting officers will not see the need to put place necessary and required systems to keep proper records. If all they see from Parliament are recommendations suited for an accounting officer who missed meetings instead of failing to keep the record of monies received for the fund, the EFF will never be part of rubber stamping the dysfunctional institution and reject this report.
Honorable Hlengwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I would want to echo the sentiments of the chairperson of SCOPA. We're doing very good work there, and I think that if members were attending and participating, it would make our work as SCOPA very easy. Because the question we must ask ourselves is, how did we get here? And we have arrived here because portfolio committees are playing footsie-footsie with the departments. Portfolio committees are not an extension of the executive. And then all the work must then come to SCOPA for us to sort out oversight, which should have been done by portfolio committees. So that is the point of departure, to say portfolio committees must do the work so that we do not have to shoulder the burden as SCOPA. Everybody hates SCOPA and loves the portfolio committees because you are being nice, then giving everybody hugs and kisses, and not actually doing the work of oversight. But it cannot be said that SCOPA has been sitting on this report for a whole year. We are correcting something that should have been done by a portfolio committee in its oversight. So whilst people may not like the chairperson for whatever political reasons, that is fine. But I refuse for SCOPA to be painted with a brush which makes all of us look bad in that committee, when day in and day out we are holding people accountable as we should be doing, but moreover it should be work that is being done by portfolio committees. So it is our expectation, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that the 21 recommendations for the third-party fund that the SCOPA is putting forward, that the Department of the Portfolio Committee on Justice makes it a point that they see through that these recommendations are carried out. Because if they don't do that, the work will then have to come back to SCOPA. We have put a 60-day limit on that, and we want that report and the progress report so that we can be able to hold people accountable. There must be consequence management, and people who have done wrong must, be brought to book. The PFMA cannot be applied selectively and cherry pick. It must be applied from A to Z to the letter without any compromise. It is only then that we give credibility to this House, that it's not a rubber stamping institution, but one which is proactive in its approach. But we must be able to understand the due processes of Parliament, that SCOPA is not playing or exercising a role of oversight on the day-to-day affairs of departments. It is portfolio committees that are doing that. So if we do not understand the basic tenets of how we are working in this Parliament, then you're going to come and blame us. It's not, it's not nice being in SCOPA because we are called, the watchdog, not wants to be called a dog. But we're doing our work anyway. So at the end of the day, people must attend committees so that whatever utterances they make here are informed by what actually happens in committees. Let us go back to basics, back to committees. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. NFP, no member.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members of this House. The National Freedom Party accepts the two SCOPA reports tabled here today. The overall recommendation of the two reports paint a bleak picture of the level of financial accountability of the third-party fund and then Department of Water Affairs and the water trading entity. The gross incompetence in financial management addressed by the Auditor General should give rise to grave cause for concern. 2 days ago, we debated the issue of corruption in South Africa in this august House. And when we look at the reports tabled here today, we see in front of our eyes a very fertile breeding ground for corruption and financial mismanagement. The question of National Freedom Party would like to have answered is, why are State Department entities allowed to continue operating in flagrant disregard for financial procedures with impunity? Surely the senior management who are responsible for financial control ought to know the procedures and rules which they have to observe and enforce. Surely they ought to be qualified and sufficiently experienced to their job properly. The National Freedom Party would like to know why no action had been taken against the senior managers for such gross negligence of their duties. Must the Auditor General keep on calling on these senior managers to comply with financial control legislation, regulation and prescribed guidelines without any action being taken? Must SCOPA continue to call upon these senior managers to adhere to the recommendations of the Auditor General year after year when it is patently clear that these recommendations are ignored with impunity? Honourable Chair, such a situation cannot be allowed to continue without serious repercussions for those who are neglecting their duty. The NFP calls for swift and decisive action against those incompetent senior managers. We also call for a full investigation into the result of the financial mismanagement as pointed out in these reports to assess the degree in which this mismanagement has fueled corruption and call to account those who had benefited from such corruption. Failure to enforce accountability will continue to erode our democracy and make a mockery of the Constitution. This must not be allowed to happen. In conclusion, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the National Freedom Party supports the recommendation of the Committee on the Public Accounts to adopt the report. I thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other wish to declare? ANC?
Thank you, Chairperson. Honourable members, good afternoon. Members of other parties, they come here and say SCOPA brings report after a year. Indeed, we deal with annual reports. We are dealing with reports of 2013, 2014 of the third-party funds. The third-party funds, one of its work, is assisting the beneficiaries, which are children in most cases, who are not being supported by their parents, either by their fathers or their mothers. The committee has had the annual report from the AG, and we are concerned and worried that the TPF fund has received a disclaimer. We have noted the concern that there were no inadequate system in place to maintain records of receivable accounts and payables. Daily and monthly processing of transactions were not implemented diligently. Therefore, the committee recommends that proper records should be implemented in all courts, that daily and monthly controls should be done in all regions and ensure reliability of financial reporting, proper record system and implementation, that the National Office verifies information from regional offices for accuracy and financial proper consequences for failure to comply with these consequences should be applied to those who did that. The implementation of the new account system we also recommend as committee that should be fast-tracked and be implemented in all courts and all cash halls. The chairperson of the committee and the committee as a whole has a feeling and a view that accounting system which was supposed to be put in place by the TPF is long overdue, and that we believe that as long as the system is not in place, it will take time for the fund to operate the way it's supposed to operate and to have the desired outcome that's it's supposed to have. We as well welcome the signing of the new bill, which was signed by the President last week, of the blacklisting of defaulters or in the maintenance payments by the President, for the fact that it will assist the TPF in terms of managing their financial burdens which they were affecting the entity. When we come to the Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation, we have also heard that the department has had a lot of problems in terms of to provide financial system in place. And we also admit that water is a source of life, is also a natural source, as it is enshrined in the Constitution. A qualified audit opinion was a qualified opinion which the AG has reported it was that there were challenges in terms of the APP which were made without the approval of the executive authority.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired.
The ANC support the report.
Thank you. Order, honorable members. The motion is that the reports be adopted. Are there any objections to the report of the Committee on Public Accounts, on 8th report, on annual report, financial statement of the third-party funds, and report of the Auditor General 2013-14 financial year? EFF?
The EFF registers its objection to the report.
The objection. In light of the objection, I now put the question. Those in favor will say aye. Those against will say no. The ayes have it. So the report is agreed to. Now I say, are there any objections to the report on public accounts, on Committee on Public Accounts, on 9th report, on annual report and financial statements of the Department of Water Affairs, Water Trading Entity, and report of Auditor General on 2013-14 financial year? Do we have any objection? No objection, agreed to. That, honorable members, concludes the business of the day and the House is adjourned.